Poker is a game of skill, delusion, and betrayal. Sometimes, the game just turns on you. One day, you're making perfect reads, raking in pots, and laughing at the fools who think luck is a strategy. The next, every river is a dagger, every bluff gets picked off, and the respect you once commanded at the table fades into something much worse. Pity. Some poker pros don't just go broke, they go cold. A slow, merciless unraveling where the game stops rewarding them entirely. In this video, we're diving into the stories of poker pros who just could not win anymore. Brian Townsend tore through the ranks of online poker. A former engineering student with a knack for breaking down complex problems, he approached the game like an equation to be solved, and for a while, he had the perfect formula. Starting at the modest $50 buy-in tables, he scaled his way to the nosebleeds with terrifying efficiency, establishing himself as one of the most feared online crushers of the mid to late 2000s. Under his infamous alias, SB Rugby, he wasn't just beating the best, he was dismantling them. His dominance was so undeniable that he found himself invited to the highest stage in televised poker, high-stakes poker. But unlike online, where he could fire bet after bet from the safety of his monitor, live play came with something he wasn't quite prepared for: the human element. It didn't take long for the reality check to land. $100,000 gone in just 3 episodes. The same ultra-aggressive approach that had minted money online was suddenly colliding with live poker's harshest truth. You can't bluff a guy who just doesn't care. The experience was humbling, but Townsend still had Full Tilt, PokerStars, and the entirety of the online ecosystem to prove that he belonged at the very top. For a while, he did. By 2007, he had racked up close to $3 million in winnings, finding himself on magazine covers, facing off against legends, and even besting Doyle Brunson in a $120,000 heads-up battle on Poker After Dark. The momentum was unstoppable, until it wasn't. Townsend's downfall wasn't one singular disaster, it was death by 1,000 cuts. The first wound came in 2008 when Full Tilt handed him a 6-month suspension for multi-accounting, an unforgivable sin in a game built on imperfect information. Townsend, in what felt like an attempt to show penance, donated $25,000 to charity and admitted his mistake. It wasn't enough to erase the stain, but at least he had kept his seat at the table. Then came the second suspension. This time, it wasn't a simple case of playing under multiple names, it was something far more sinister. Townsend, along with Brian Hastings and Cole South, pooled their data, compiling over 50,000 hands played by Victor Isildur I Blum. Armed with this mountain of information, Hastings sat across from Isildur in a heads-up match and proceeded to obliterate him for over $4 million. Townsend himself pocketed $1.6 million from his own battles with the Swedish prodigy. But once the story got out, it wasn't just about winning anymore, it was about how he won. At its core, poker is a game of incomplete information. Studying an opponent's tendencies is one thing, building a comprehensive database of their entire game is another. The poker community, ever obsessed with fairness in a game built on deception, turned on Townsend. The repercussions: another suspension from Full Tilt, another mark against his credibility, and, most importantly, a shift in the narrative. Townsend was no longer the sharp, fearless crusher who had solved the game. He was the guy who needed an edge to win. Once you lose your aura at the highest stakes, the game becomes a different beast entirely. Townsend, perhaps feeling the pressure to prove himself again, upped the stakes right when the walls were starting to close in. His signature aggression, once the foundation of his success, turned into a weapon he couldn't control. The numbers tell the story in brutal fashion. The first week of January 2010, he lost $300,000. By May, that number had ballooned to $2.5 million. He tried to reset, stepping back from card runners, deleting his Red Pro account, and returning to Full Tilt as SB Rugby. But the damage was already done. Over the next several months, Townsend dumped another $1.5 million into the void. By the time the dust settled, the once feared online juggernaut had lost $4 million in a single year. The game had moved forward, and Townsend, whether by bad luck, bad decisions, or bad optics, had been left behind. He faded from the spotlight. Soon after, no grand farewell, no final stand, just another poker prodigy who had flown too high, too fast. Search for Ethan Yao, and you'll find Rampage. Search for Rampage, and you'll find a definition that reads something like reckless, uncontrolled, or destructive behavior. Some might call that fitting. Yao's rise through the poker world has been as fast as it has been volatile. From grinding 1-2 cash games in 2018 to playing in some of the biggest live stream games in the world, his story is one of meteoric success, high-stakes ambition, and, now, brutal consequences. Because in poker, the climb is exciting, but the fall is unforgettable. For much of his career, Yao was the embodiment of the modern poker dream. A guy with a camera, a bankroll, and the guts to take shots. The results were undeniable. His YouTube channel exploded, his bankroll ballooned. He won tournaments, crushed cash games, and took down high-stakes events that should have been out of reach. He didn't just ride the wave of poker's new media era, he helped create it. But when you play higher, the swings get violent, and for Yao, those swings have recently been heading in one direction. At the start of 2024, the numbers stopped making sense. The heater ended, and suddenly, Yao found himself buried in 7-figure losses. But high-stakes poker is more than just a game of numbers, it's a game of confidence. And as the losses piled up, so did the doubts. That uncertainty hit a breaking point in April when Yao released a video titled, "I Need $1 Million," a bold attempt to sell action for Hustler Casino Live's $1 million game. The video landed like a brick. Instead of rallying support, it drew backlash. His fans, who had once celebrated his fearlessness, now questioned whether he was in way over his head. The video was swiftly restricted, then removed entirely, but the damage was done. Then came the weekend update. In a brief social media post, Yao confirmed what many had already suspected. He wouldn't be playing the game, not because he didn't want to, because he couldn't. The reality was brutal. He needed to borrow $200,000 just to stay in action. For a player whose career had been built on winning, reinvesting, and moving up, this was a harsh new chapter. Some in the poker community rallied behind him, reminding him that even the best go broke. Others weren't so forgiving, calling out his aggressive bankroll decisions and questioning whether he was built for these stakes. For Yao, the challenge isn't just financial, it's psychological. Confidence in poker is fragile, and the moment you start second-guessing, your opponents can smell it. His style of being a maniac only works when you truly believe in it. The second doubt creeps in, it becomes a liability. The same game that made him a star has now turned on him. Whether this is just another downswing in a long career or a warning sign of something worse remains to be seen. But one thing is clear, this is the biggest test of his poker career. Nick Airball has never been shy about making headlines, and this time, it's not for the reasons he'd like. $8 million, that's how deep in the red he claims to be. It's an eye-watering number, even in the high-stakes world he inhabits. But what's more intriguing isn't just the scale of the losses, it's how he seems completely unfazed by them. There's an old saying in poker, if you can't spot the fish at the table, it's you. And for months, the poker world has been debating whether Airball, once the self-proclaimed game wrecker of Hustler Casino Live, has become exactly that. He's not playing for small numbers. $1 million swings have become the norm. A $1 million loss to Matt Berkey in a grudge match. Another 7-figure bloodbath in Hustler's $1 million game. And yet, if you listen to him, the money isn't what stings. It's not about the money, he insists. It's about how it feels to lose, and that's where the real damage lies, not in the bankroll, but in the psychology of the game. Airball built his reputation on bravado, aggression, and the kind of table talk that gets under people's skin. He wasn't afraid to challenge legends, run massive bluffs, and force opponents into brutal decisions. But when a downswing lasts this long, confidence erodes. The game starts feeling different. Those fearless plays, they don't land the same way. Those reads, they come with hesitation. The very identity that made him successful starts working against him. Take a recent hand against Mariano. With pocket jacks on a queen high board, Airball led into the aggressor, an unorthodox move in a spot where he almost never has the stronger range. Mariano, unfazed, raised. Airball called. On the turn, Airball led again. Mariano raised again, Airball called. The river bricked, Airball finally checked. Mariano checked back and took down an $83,000 pot, leaving Airball and everyone watching, wondering what exactly the plan was. This wasn't the old Airball, the one who played fearlessly and pulled the trigger at the right moments. This was hesitation, this was confusion, and in high-stakes poker, second-guessing is death. The issue isn't just that he's losing, it's how he's losing. Betting small in spots that demand big pressure, making light calls where the math isn't there, running bluffs against players who aren't even thinking about folding. And yet, the most telling sign isn't the hands themselves. It's his own body language, the deep tanking, the size, the post-hand frustration, the realization that for the first time in a long time, he doesn't have control of the game. But despite everything, The losses, the questions about his bankroll, the whispers that he's outmatched. Airball refuses to back down. He's still taking on the toughest competition, still sitting deep in the biggest games, and maybe that's the real test. Not whether he can win again, but whether he can keep going after losing this much. Greg Merson played more poker hands before his 25th birthday than most professionals will in their entire lives. By the time he reached the final table of the 2012 World Series of Poker main event, he had already logged 7 million hands online, a staggering volume that made even veteran pros shake their heads. In terms of raw experience, he was over-prepared. But poker isn't just about how much you've played, it's about how much you've survived. For Merson, the game was never just about cards and chips, it was about escape. From the moment he discovered online poker, the grind became an obsession. The endless repetition of hands, the rush of outplaying opponents, the ability to make more money in a few hours than most people did in a month. It was a perfect storm for someone looking to outrun their demons. At 18, Merson's addiction started. By 19, he got clean. For the next 3 years, he was sober, disciplined, focused. The game rewarded him. The bankroll grew, the stakes rose. He was living the poker dream. Then, in 2011, the losses came. He dropped 6 figures in the first few months of the year, 3 separate $100,000 losing sessions in 6 weeks, 20 different days where he burned $30,000. The bankroll collapsed, and as it disappeared, so did his self-control. Merson spiraled. Synthetic heroin, cocaine, Adderall, alcohol, marijuana, a cocktail of self-destruction that turned poker from an obsession into a backdrop for his worst impulses. He played high, he played recklessly, he played in Bobby's room at the Bellagio, blinded by stimulants, losing more than he even remembers. Then came December 2011, the moment everything changed. In the least likely of places, a casino hotel room in Las Vegas, he made a decision. No rehab, no interventions, just a man alone in a room, detoxing in the most brutal way imaginable. 3 days of pure hell, withdrawal, isolation, regret, and then clarity. It wasn't just about getting clean, it was about rebuilding from the ashes. What happened next wasn't just a comeback, it was a resurrection. By the summer of 2012, Merson was winning. The bankroll was stable, the discipline had returned, the emotional volatility was gone, and then, in one of the most difficult tournament fields of the year, he won a bracelet, a $1 million score in the $10,000 Six Max event. The moment wasn't just about the money, it was proof that he had changed, proof that poker could still be his game, proof that he was alive. 2 weeks later, he made the final table of the main event. It didn't seem real. Months earlier, he had been at rock bottom. Now he was playing for $8,500,000, and yet, even with the poker world watching, Merson kept the same mindset that had saved him. One hand at a time, one decision at a time, one day at a time. Because in poker, like in life, the only way to win is to survive. Ben Solsky played poker like it was a mathematical inevitability, because for a while, it was. The man known as Source 123 had a reputation for running poker like a finely tuned algorithm. He was practically solving the game in real time. At his peak in 2012, Solsky was the biggest winner in online poker, raking in over $4 million while effortlessly running circles around even the sharpest competition. His specialty? Heads up. No Limit Hold'em and Pot Limit Omaha. Where others relied on instincts, Solsky wielded cold, hard logic. Where others hesitated, he fired, because the math said he should, and for a long time the math was right. But poker has a cruel sense of humor. One year you're at the top of the leaderboard, the next, you're questioning everything you thought you knew. 2013 was the turning point. Solsky's downswing started as a few bad sessions, a couple of tough spots, some coolers, the usual turbulence that comes with high stakes variance, but then it kept going. His bankroll dipped, the numbers on his screen plummeted. At first, it was just another stretch of bad luck. Every poker pro has them, but this one wasn't stopping. By February 2013, he had gone from up $1 million to down nearly $2 million, and when a downswing lasts long enough, the line between bad luck and bad play starts to blur. Then came Victor Blum. Over the course of their heads-up battles, Solsky dropped $2,800,000 to Blum. Pot Limit Omaha at 300-600 stakes turned into absolute carnage. Their biggest pot? $222,000, and Blum won it with a queen-high flush. But it wasn't just Blum. Another online crusher, Punting Peddler, took Solsky for another $1,200,000. Every poker player loses sometimes, but these were numbers that shook even the high-stakes elite. By 2014, the situation had turned bleak. Solsky's results across multiple platforms were a bloodbath. On Full Tilt, he was down $834,000. On PokerStars, he had clawed back $353,000, but overall, he was in a six-figure freefall. And then, in June of 2014, the bottom truly dropped out. $582,000 lost in 6 days. Think about that. $500,000 gone in less than a week. In the time it takes most people to get through a work week, Solsky had burned through more than the average person makes in a decade. The variance in high-stakes pot limit Omaha is brutal, but this was something else. The psychological toll of an 18-month downswing is impossible to quantify. For a player who built his career on logic and consistency, this stretch of absolute chaos must have felt like playing poker in a burning building. The numbers no longer made sense. The edges he once had felt thinner. The certainty he had in his decisions shattered. Solsky wasn't just running bad, he was drowning. Phil Ivey was never just another poker pro. He was the guy, the one who made poker look effortless, who sat at the table like he already knew how the session was going to end. Whether it was in a smoky Vegas backroom, at a World Series final table, or battling the world's best online, Ivey didn't just win, he dominated. But even the greatest aren't immune to the game's brutality. For years, Ivey was one of online poker's biggest winners. His legendary run on Full Tilt saw him rake in nearly $20 million, crushing the highest stakes with an approach that was equal parts terrifying and methodical. And then, suddenly, the tides shifted. By 2015, Ivey wasn't just losing, he was leading the field in losses. Under his Full Tilt alias, Polarizing, he bled out $6,300,000 in just 3 years. His struggles weren't limited to a single platform. On PokerStars, under raise once, the numbers looked just as grim. The total damage that year, $3,700,000 down the drain. The most brutal part? It wasn't bad play. This was still Phil Ivey. He still had the reads, the fearlessness, the instincts that had built his legacy. But online poker had changed. The edge that once separated the greats from the grinders had thinned. The new generation was hyper-optimized, studying databases of hands, running advanced simulations, and refining strategies in ways that even the best live players hadn't fully adapted to. Ivey wasn't getting outplayed, he was getting out-prepared. Of course, being Ivey, he still found ways to win. Even in his worst online year, he banked $1,700,000 in live tournaments. But for a player who once seemed invincible, the mounting losses sent a clear message. The golden era of high-stakes online poker was over, and even the game's greatest couldn't fight the shift. But Ivey's real battle wasn't happening on the virtual felt, it was playing out in courtrooms on opposite sides of the Atlantic. If his online downfall was a slow burn, the casino scandals were a full-scale wildfire. The numbers in these cases made his online losses look like loose change. In London, Crockford's had withheld £7,700,000 from a Punto Banco session that was supposed to be one of Ivey's greatest victories. The reason? Edge sorting. To poker players, edge sorting is just another way to maximize an edge, a technique, not a cheat. In Punto Banco, a pure luck game, Ivey had spotted a flaw in the card design and exploited it masterfully. But to the casinos, this was a violation of the rules. A breach of the sacred contract that the house always wins. The legal battles dragged on for years, and in the end, the casinos got what they wanted. Ivey lost both cases. The Supreme Court in the UK ruled that his tactics constituted a carefully planned and executed sting. The ruling cemented what casinos had been arguing all along. Advantage play that relies on flaws in the game isn't just strategy, it's cheating. With Ivey refusing to pay back the money, the casino came after his assets, even going so far as to seize his winnings from a World Series of poker event. Think about that. One of the greatest players in history, forced to fight to keep his own tournament cashes. For poker fans, the entire saga was surreal. Phil Ivey, the most composed, unshakable player the game had ever seen, was now at war with casinos instead of opponents. And yet, the legacy remains. Even through record-breaking online losses, court battles, and years of public scrutiny, Ivey never truly disappeared. He never issued a teary apology, never begged for a second chance. He just kept playing. Because in the end, Phil Ivey will always be Phil Ivey.
Dania Negreanu, Daniel Negreanu, widely known as Kid Poker, is one of the most successful and beloved players in poker history. With over $50 million in live tournament earnings, 6 WSOP bracelets, and 2 World Poker Tour titles, Negreanu has achieved more than most could ever dream of in the game. In 1998, he became the youngest WSOP bracelet winner at the time, earning $170,000 in a pot limit hold'em event. Over the next 2 decades, Negreanu dominated the poker world. His uncanny ability to read opponents, combined with his adaptability across different formats, helped him secure a reputation as one of the best all-around players in the game.
1400. Do you have a king?
I may have.
Do you? Just tell me. It's fine. Do you have a king? No? Okay, I called in.
Oh my lord, not only was that free information, but Daniel didn't even have to work for it.
He was named WSOP Player of the Year twice, in 2004 and 2013, the only player to achieve this feat. Despite his unparalleled success, Negreanu faced one of the most challenging periods of his career in 2019, when he suffered a $1.2 million downswing during a stretch of high-stakes cash games and tournaments. This was not the first time Negreanu experienced a rough patch. He's been open about past struggles, but the scale of this particular downswing was significant, even for a player of his caliber.
Where if I win, you know, people are saying, okay, whatever. But if I lose, it's like, oh my God. If I lose twice, holy shit. If you lose 3 times, oh my God.
Negreanu later reflected on the experience, explaining that much of the loss came from variance in high-stakes tournaments, where even the best players can go months or years without a major cash. He also acknowledged that his focus on maintaining his personal life and other business ventures during this time may have affected his results. However, Negreanu's transparency about the downswing resonated with fans, showcasing his willingness to share the highs and lows of poker.
But mentally, it was very difficult because there was a feeling of hopelessness where I was making good decisions. Like I genuinely felt like I'm playing really, really well. But every time my money went in, and my opponent's money went in, and say I was 60%, 70%, 80% for about a 2-week stretch, I lost every one of those. And you start to wonder, you're like, man, I can't win if I never win.
Part of what makes Negreanu a true poker icon is his ability to adapt and evolve. During this downswing, he realized that the game had changed dramatically, particularly with the rise of solvers and more mathematically grounded strategies. To stay competitive, Negreanu dedicated himself to studying modern poker theory and refining his approach. Negreanu's downswing wasn't just a financial challenge, it also took an emotional toll. Known for his outgoing personality and confidence at the table, Negreanu has always been open about the psychological pressures of poker. During the downswing, he shared insights into how he copes with losses, emphasizing the importance of maintaining perspective and focusing on long-term success. As with any great champion, Negreanu's downswing was only a temporary setback. In 2022, he bounced back in spectacular fashion, winning the $300,000 Super High Roller Bowl for $3.3 million, one of the largest cashes of his career. This victory reaffirmed his place among the game's elite and silenced critics who doubted his ability to compete with the next generation of players. Patrick Antonius is one of the most recognizable and respected names in poker. Known for his calm demeanor, striking appearance, and precise decision-making, the Finnish pro has carved out a legendary career in both live and online poker. His journey from aspiring tennis player to high-stakes poker legend is a testament to his adaptability and competitive spirit. With his competitive background and disciplined mindset, Antonius brought the same focus and determination to poker that he once applied to tennis. Antonius started by playing small-stakes home games in Finland, but his talent was evident from the start. After honing his skills online and in local cash games, he decided to pursue poker full-time. His breakthrough came in 2005 when he burst onto the live tournament scene. In 2005, Antonius had a career-defining year. He secured a second-place finish at the WPT 5 Diamond World Poker Classic, earning over $1 million. This result catapulted him into the spotlight and established him as a rising star in the poker world. Antonius followed up this success with several deep runs in prestigious events, including the European Poker Tour and the World Series of Poker. Over his live tournament career, Antonius has amassed over $12 million in earnings, making him one of the most successful European players of all time.
$300,000 almost in this pot. And Phil Ivey desperately unlucky on that 4 on the river. And Patrick Antonius wins a monster.
While Antonius is highly regarded for his live tournament results, his true dominance came in the world of online poker. During the mid-2000s, online poker was booming, and Antonius was one of the key players who helped define the era. Playing on platforms like Full Tilt Poker, he became a staple in the highest stakes cash games. In 2009, Antonius was the biggest winner on Full Tilt Poker, earning millions in heads-up and 6 max cash games. His calm and calculated style made him a formidable opponent, and he was often seen battling other legends like Phil Ivey, Tom Dwan, and Victor Blum. Antonius made history by winning the largest ever online cash game pot, a jaw-dropping $1.35 million against Victor Blum in a pot limit Omaha match. The hand remains one of the most iconic moments in online poker history. Guy Laliberté. Best known as the co-founder of Cirque du Soleil, Laliberté built a global entertainment empire that revolutionized the world of circus performance. Laliberté's journey into poker began in the early 2000s. As one of the wealthiest men in Canada, his vast fortune allowed him to explore hobbies and passions with little concern for financial risk. Poker quickly became a favorite pastime, offering the adrenaline and competition he craved. Despite being an amateur, Laliberté was not content with playing small-stakes home games. Instead, he jumped straight into the deep end, joining the highest stakes cash games both online and live. His willingness to gamble against the best players in the world earned him a reputation as a fearless, albeit sometimes outmatched, competitor. Although Laliberté is best known for his online exploits, he also had notable success in live tournaments. Over his poker career, he amassed $2.5 million in live tournament earnings, an impressive feat for a player who never turned professional. One of his most significant cashes came at the 2007 World Poker Tour Bellagio Cup, where he finished 4th and took home $700,000. This performance highlighted his potential at the tables, but his focus was never solely on tournaments. Laliberté preferred the excitement of cash games, particularly those played at nosebleed stakes.
Actually, the challenge of learning a new game brought me into the poker world. I'm a very competitive person. I like to give myself some personal challenge, and I find out that poker was a great game to learn. I've been playing a lot of different games, so I got interested in it, and I just had put a lot of time and attention to it.
While Laliberté's live results were respectable, his online poker career tells a different story. Playing on Full Tilt Poker under multiple aliases, Laliberté reportedly lost $31 million over several years. This figure makes him one of the biggest losers in online poker history. Laliberté's losses weren't due to lack of effort or enthusiasm. Instead, they highlighted the skill gap between him and the professionals he faced. High-stakes online games are notoriously cutthroat, and Laliberté's aggressive but unrefined playstyle often left him vulnerable to exploitation. In interviews, he referred to himself as a fish and acknowledged that he underestimated the skill level of his opponents.
So I had to be very, very precise in my move. I was like a little hamster building up my little nuts by nuts. I didn't get involved in many big clash all-in. I didn't, because every time that I had the big end, there was no action for me.
His willingness to play against the best, including Phil Ivey, Tom Dwan, and Patrick Antonius, earned him respect as a competitor, but his lack of experience in such a competitive environment ultimately led to massive losses. In addition to his online play, Laliberté was a regular participant in some of the largest private cash games in Las Vegas and Macau. These games often featured billionaires and top professionals, with pots reaching millions of dollars. La Liberté's involvement in these games further cemented his reputation as one of the game's most adventurous players. His presence at these tables brought a unique dynamic. As a wealthy amateur, he was often viewed as a target by professionals. However, his cheerful demeanor and willingness to gamble made him a beloved figure in the poker community.
But this is not touching me too much because, you know, I've been used to being public, and I'm not here for the fame or the money. I'm just here for the pleasure of it.
You just enjoy the game.
Exactly.
La Liberté's participation in these games also helped to elevate poker's profile, attracting attention from the media and fans alike. Guy La Liberté's poker career is a fascinating blend of ambition, risk-taking and passion. While his massive losses are often highlighted, they overshadow his genuine love for the game and his impact on the poker world. Phil Galfond is a name synonymous with poker excellence. Galfond has achieved greatness both at the tables and beyond. With over $3 million in live tournament earnings and more than $10 million in online winnings, he has cemented his place as one of the all-time greats, but even the most meticulous players can experience setbacks. Galfond first gained prominence in the mid-2000s as an online cash game specialist. Like everyone back then, he played on Full Tilt Poker and PokerStars. He became one of the most respected figures in high-stakes online poker. His success was built on a combination of creativity, discipline, and an uncanny ability to exploit opponents' weaknesses. Galfond's bread and butter was Pot Limit Omaha, a game that rewards aggression and deep strategic thinking. He quickly established himself as one of the best PLO players in the world, taking on legends like Victor Bloom and Tom Dwan in some of the biggest online cash games ever played. His live tournament earnings may pale in comparison to his online achievements, but they underscore his status as a well-rounded player. Despite his success, Galfond's poker journey hasn't been without challenges. One of the most notable setbacks of his career came when he ventured into 2-7 triple draw, a highly complex and skill-intensive game. Unlike his expertise in PLO and no-limit hold'em, triple draw was relatively new territory for Galfond, and the transition proved costly. Over time, he lost $2.5 million, one of the largest downswings of his career. Reflecting on the experience, Galfond admitted that he underestimated the difficulty of mastering a new variant at the highest stakes. The loss was a humbling moment, but it also demonstrated his willingness to take risks and challenge himself, even if the results didn't go his way.
It's running bad is something that happens to all of us, and it happens a lot more than you think it should, and a lot more than you think it will. Variance is a beast, and it's not to be underestimated, but it always is underestimated.
Phil Galfond's career is a testament to the power of intelligence, humility, and perseverance. From dominating the toughest cash games to bouncing back from a $2.5 million downswing, he has shown that even in the face of adversity, success is possible with the right mindset. Didang. Didang, alongside his brother Hakdang, was one of the most successful online poker players during the golden age of internet poker. D took a calculated and methodical approach to the game. This focus and discipline set him apart in an era when online poker was still evolving. Dai crushed high-stakes games on Full Tilt Poker and PokerStars, amassing millions in profits. Dai Dang's journey to poker fame started while he was in college, where he discovered online poker as a way to supplement his income. He quickly moved up in stakes, transitioning from micro-stakes games to the highest nosebleed levels available online. His ability to analyze opponents and maintain composure under pressure earned him respect in the poker community. What made Dai particularly dangerous was his versatility. He excelled in heads-up, six-max, and full-ring games, and he wasn't afraid to face off against the best players in the world. Playing primarily no-limit hold'em and pot limit Omaha, D became a regular in the higher stakes games. The Dang brothers became one of the most feared duos in online poker. They often shared strategies and analysed hand histories to refine their games. Their combined winnings reportedly exceeded $10 million, making them one of the most successful poker families of all time. They were known for their humility and quiet professionalism. They didn't seek the spotlight like many of their contemporaries, preferring to let their results speak for themselves. Their low-profile approach earned them admiration from fans and peers alike, but even the most skilled players can face brutal downswings. In 2009, Dai experienced one of the most significant challenges of his career, a $2.6 million downswing. The volatility of high-stakes games, combined with the unpredictability of variance, hit him hard. Despite his disciplined approach, he found himself battling the mental strain that comes with losing such enormous sums. This downswing wasn't just a financial blow, it also tested Dai's resolve and mindset. However, his ability to stay level-headed during this period demonstrated his professionalism. Unlike some players who would tilt or chase losses, Dai stuck to his process and eventually recovered from this rough patch. As the online poker landscape changed following the events of Black Friday in 2011, which shut down major poker sites in the US, Dang began to re-evaluate his priorities. Recognizing the increasing uncertainty in the poker world, he decided to step away from the game. Alongside his brother, he pivoted to business ventures outside of poker. Although Dang no longer plays professionally, his impact on the poker community remains significant. He is remembered as one of the most consistent and disciplined players of his time, embodying the qualities that make a truly great poker player. Jamie Gold. Jamie Gold's rise and fall in poker is one of the most dramatic stories in the game's history. A talent agent turned poker enthusiast, Gold skyrocketed to fame in 2006 after winning the WSOP main event, taking home a record-breaking $12 million. But what seemed like the start of a legendary career quickly unraveled as financial disputes, bad investments, and the volatility of the poker world left him far from the peak he once reached. In 2006, Gold entered the WSOP main event and played one of the most dominant tournaments in poker history. Using relentless aggression and an uncanny ability to talk his opponents into bad decisions, Gold bulldozed his way through the largest main event field ever at the time. His final hand, where his Queen-9 bested Paul Wasika's pocket tens, cemented his place in poker history.
Breathe, just breathe, relax.
Wasika needs a 10 or it's over.
Jamie Gold has done it!
Oh my God! You're awesome. You played awesome. You were off.
The victory earned him $12 million, the largest first-place prize ever awarded in a poker tournament, and made him a household name overnight. Over the years, Gold struggled with bankroll management and made a series of questionable financial decisions. Reports surfaced that he was forced to sell off portions of his WSOP bracelet winnings to cover debts, further tarnishing his once glorious reputation. Despite his main event win, Jamie Gold's poker career never reached the same heights again. His aggressive and unpredictable style, which worked so well during the 2006 WSOP, was less effective against seasoned professionals in high-stakes games. As his bankroll dwindled, Gold shifted to smaller buy-in tournaments and promotional appearances, far from the spotlight of the poker world's elite. Gold's live tournament earnings outside of his WSOP win remain modest, with only a few small cashes in subsequent years. He struggled to prove himself as more than a one-hit wonder, and his results have often been overshadowed by the controversies and challenges he faced off the table. Jamie's record-breaking WSOP win stands as a testament to his talent and ability to seize the moment, but his struggles in the years that followed highlight the challenges of sustaining success in poker.